If you're a parent thinking about your next home, there's probably one thing running through your mind: bigger. So more space, more room, somewhere the kids can run about, play and spread out. I'm a mom too, so I know exactly it's your instinct to want to get a bigger home. But I want to gently challenge you that today. Because in my work with young families so far, and in my own journey as a parent, I've learned that bigger isn't always better. Sometimes it's just bigger for the sake of it being bigger, but it can cost you things that matter far more than square footage. So before you stretch for the biggest home out there that you can afford, here are 3 things I want you to think about first. Not as an agent who is trying to sell you something, but as someone who wants your family to get it right. So first, bigger isn't always the same as better design. I've walked through plenty of large units that tick every box on the paper. For example, 4 bedrooms, a large floor area. But actually, when some families live in that space, things actually start falling apart. Their lifestyle falls apart. So think about it as like a closed-off kitchen at the side of the house, which you need to run out to the living room to take a look at your kids playing while you cook. Watching your kids and cooking at the same time, that doesn't really make much sense for your family's lifestyle. So instead, imagine a smaller home, but a kitchen is nicely sitting next to the living room, where you can watch your kids from afar and still cook at the same time. In this case, isn't the smaller home better suited for your family's lifestyle, even though you have kids and you need a larger space? That's what I mean by flow and not size. When you view the homes, don't just count the number of rooms that you need. Of course, rooms are important, but also walk through the actual day of your lifestyle. Where will everyone be in the evening? Can you see your babies or little ones from where you'll naturally be at home at certain times of the day? A well-designed smaller home can serve your family beautifully, but a poorly designed bigger home makes daily life harder, and you actually pay more for the larger home. So space you can't use well is a space you're actually just paying for and not enjoying. Also, for families who have more than one child, this is something for you to think about. How do you want your kids to grow up interacting with one another? Do you want them to grow closer to one another? Do you want them to have more privacy away from one another? That is something to shape your house around. So there's no right answer here, whether it's closeness or privacy. It's really dependent on your values and the goals that you want your family to achieve in this season. So decide on your purpose, what you want that to look like, rather than letting a floor plan decide for you. Moving on to my second point, there are hidden costs that larger homes carry. And when I say cost, I don't just mean the price of the house or the price tag that comes with the house, but we actually think about a bigger home that carries a whole tale of costs that nobody talks about until you're living in it yourself. So for example, besides a higher mortgage, there are higher utility bills, there are more to furnish in the house, more to maintain, more to clean, or to pay someone to clean. And here's what I want you to think about as a parent and not a buyer. So with every extra dollar locked into a home that you don't fully use, it's a dollar that is not going somewhere else. For example, not into your kids' education, not into the family holiday, or not into the emergency buffer that every family with young kids would need. Because with children, I know myself very well, something unexpected is always going to come up. So I'm not saying like don't spend on your home. It's where your family's lives happen. So I'm saying like spend on the space you'll actually use and love, and not on a bigger home that squeezes the rest of your family's life. And lastly, match the home to your family season. So this is the one that I wish more families heard. You don't have to buy your forever house right now. I understand a pressure once you have kids to find the final home or the forever home for the next 20 or 30 years. And that pressure actually pushes people to buy for a family that they don't even have yet. Sizing up for 3 teenagers when you just have 1 little baby. That's what I'm trying to say. So when you buy for a season that you're not in yet, that extra space actually sits empty for many years to come, and your money is actually tied up into the house and your flexibility is gone. So instead, think honestly about the next 5 to 7 years. Buy for the family you are and the one you're about to be in that 5 to 7 years window, not a version that's a decade or 2 decades away. This keeps you financially flexible during the years when the kids are younger and expenses are more unpredictable. And it lets you make a different move later when you actually have an idea of what your family has grown into, because most of the time our families rarely turn out the way we had imagined it to be. So, are bigger homes always better from growing families? My answer is not always, but sometimes yes. If it's the right home, well designed, and it comfortably fits your family's life. Bigger isn't always better. Bigger for the sake of bigger can quietly cost you the very things you're trying to give your family, which is presence, peace of mind, and the freedom to enjoy this season. So the best home for your family isn't always the biggest one you can afford. It's the one that fits how you actually live, leaves you room to breathe, and grows with you. If you're starting to think about your next move and you're feeling unsure, I can assure you that that's completely normal. These are the exact conversations I love to have with families. If this was helpful, subscribe. I'll be sharing a lot more honest parent-to-parent conversations. And if there's a question on your mind about your family's next home, leave it in the comments and I might answer yours in the future video. So thank you for spending time with me. I know how precious your time is when you have a little one. Thank you and see you in the next one.